Hello and welcome to the latest EMT podcast, where I was very fortunate on a recent trip to New York where I was seeing some shows, some very good shows, I have to say. I was there to see Old Friends as one of those shows, and guess what I managed to do? I got to speak to some of the cast. It wasn't ideal. It wouldn't be what you would call perfect, but it is an insider podcast, we like to call it, and you're not going to get much more inside than this. It's not one, it's not two, but four different people. And we start off, I speak to Bernadette Peters, and then we'll go on to Beth Leavel and Bonnie Langford, and the producer himself, Cameron Mackintosh. So without further ado, let's go to New York and hear our old friends. So Bernadette Peters, I'm delighted to welcome you back to the Delfont Mackintosh Theatres podcast. Since we last spoke to you, you've been in LA, yes, and now you're here, yes, on Broadway.
Yes, we started the show at the West End, as you know, and it was wonderful and a great success. And then Cameron called and wanted to do it again in the US. And first we went to Los Angeles at the Ahmanson, and who they just loved it, you know, everything. They just ate it up. They were big Sondheim fans, and the thing about this show is just that people, even if they don't know Sondheim, by the end of the show, it's so uplifting. It's just an experience that people need to have, and that's why I agreed to do it again. I know that it's important during these very kind of uncertain times in the world right now to have a show like this. So now we're on Broadway.
Oh, and just on LA, is it very different from Broadway? Is it a whole different thing,
it was so pleasant. And the audience was so excited, so it was fantastic.
Now, what I've noticed, because I saw the show last night, there are some changes. There's some obviously change of cast.
Yeah.
But your performance, I could see lots of lovely different things. It was really wonderful to see, even though it's the same basically, but it's different.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Does that just develop, or do you?
Well, I love a run of a show and if the material is good, you just keep exploring and go further and further and further into it. And yes, the cast. I mean, we have 5 of the original London people with us. You know, we have Jason Pennycook and Gavin Lee and Bonnie Langford and Joanna Riding, and the 5th one. Who is that?
Mr. Seacombe.
Oh,
Jeremy.
Sweeney Todd, Jeremy Seacombe, and then Leia is with us.
Well, yes, indeed, yes, but it's
we're back.
But you're back.
And then the additional cast members from New York. You know, we have Beth Leavel and Kate Jennings Grant and did I mention Jason Pennycook?
You did,
okay.
Absolutely.
And wonderful people making their debut.
Yeah, it's what's interesting for me, having known the show in London, to see different people doing it. And although it's the same, there is always that slight difference. You must know that, of course. But in terms of playing off them, did you go? You have to rethink, or how does that?
Well, Matthew Bourne, our director, I mean, and also Stephen Meir, our choreographer. They just, refined it and working on the transitions and what's really going on and where people look at each other or blend together, or, like the note yesterday for Sweeney Todd when they first come on is, I want to see broken people. And I said, just be yourselves. I'm just kidding.
What would you say is your favourite part of the show now? Has that changed?
It keeps evolving, and I just, happily I'm liking all of it. What can I say?
No,
what was your favourite part?
It comes across. I couldn't pick a favourite bit because I think you just watch the whole thing and it washes over you. It's just an amazing experience.
I mean, you have Stephen Sondheim's music, and he left us now, but he left us with this great canon of music, and then Cameron, with his mind, figured out the order is, where the arc of the show is and where it goes and where did it come. Then you have sections of shows full, my friend Carol Burnett, I'm name dropping, but she came to
carry
see the show,
right on.
and she said, I thought it was just going to be a couple of stools and a couple of hats, and there you are, you've got scenery, and it's become, a much bigger production. You have, hunks of shows. You have Sweeney Todd. And
it feels like you are, yes, it is like a proper piece of the show. It's not just a cursory, that happened, and there's. You seem to feel that you've got and that beautiful Sunday in the Park with George.
Yeah.
It's just...
with the painting.
The way it all comes together. And I do think that you can feel that there's a love from the cast coming across.
Yes. It's a wonderful cast, and they're wonderful people, and they understand, they love the music. And so we want to give it the respect that it deserves.
Well, you certainly do
feeling
that.
and what's going on. Then you have Alfonso and Casido, right?
Yep.
And he's like...
as a musical supervisor.
Yeah, musical supervisor just cares so much and works with the orchestra and works with the voices and all about the emotion of the piece.
And they are like almost like another performer in a way, aren't they? Because they're on stage.
Oh, they're wonderful. Yeah. I always said in London, he was my secret weapon. Because, he just breathed with you and went with you. And of course, now we have Anne-Britt du Chateau, and she's wonderful too.
Yeah.
And we're very lucky to have all this great music and these musicians and these phenomenal artists performing the music.
What if anything, do you miss of London from your time there? Is there anything
that I miss from London?
Yeah.
I was in Cameron's flat. He gave me,
and it wasn't so tiny,
one of his flats to live in, and that was fun. And I just love London. And on my day off, we'd walk over and have a little meal, and I love London.
Well, I know it's just been extended here, which says a lot, but do you think we might see you back in London at some point?
I don't know. What do you mean? What do you have in mind?
Anything, frankly.
Well, I love London.
Phone book.
I love London.
Well, that's really lovely to hear.
I come back to London. I love London.
That's what we wanted to hear. Thank you so much, Bernadette. It's an absolute pleasure.
The wonderful Bernadette Peters, Tony Award winning for a reason. I'll have to tell you, she's a star. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. And then I got to speak to Tony Award-winning Beth Leavel, or is it Leavel? No, it is definitely Leavel, as you will hear, and the wonderful Bonnie Langford.
I'm thrilled, beyond thrilled, to welcome Beth Leavel. Leavel. That's a good start.
But if I'm French, it would be level. It's level.
Level.
It's
we'll never forget
English.
that. It's a great start, isn't it? Oh, God. She's still smiling, folks.
I would like
this
to
is really
introduce
encouraging.
Beatrice Leavel.
So, Beatrice Leavel and Bonita Langfordia.
Yes,
Langfordia.
Or Bertie Longshot.
Bertie Longshot.
Bertie Longbeach.
I have to say, this was a good idea, maybe, or maybe not. Who knows? I think it's fantastic, actually. What I just wanted to say was welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
And it's lovely to meet you, Beth Leavel.
Hello.
So
boring now.
And of course, from London, Miss Bonnie Langford.
Yes, indeed.
The one and only.
The one and only who we have known for so long. Billy and I are great mates. We go back a long way.
Time.
From 42nd Street, which both Beth and I
You was in,
done.
yes, I did my research. I didn't do Level, but I did my research.
Yes. See?
And we both did it twice. Once as her as Peggy Sawyer, and my Broadway debut was Anytime Annie, and then we both matured
to Dorothy Brock.
And moved to Dorothy Brock.
Yeah.
How about that?
Isn't that amazing?
And just while we're in that zone, I also noticed that you had been in Showboat. Was that the one that Elaine Stritch did?
Yes.
Because the guy I was with at the show last night
said that he compared you very favourably to Elaine Stritch, whom he knew.
That's such a compliment.
And he said, if you see Beth Leavel, do tell her that.
Thank you.
Because he thought, I thought you were amazing as well.
Thank you so much. I came in with Carol Shelley, and Carol replaced Elaine, so I never really got to work with her, but she did call me on the payphone.
Wow.
She called me on the payphone, which back in the days, and we were at the Gershwin Theater.
The Gershwin, yeah.
Wicked is now, which is kind of like a football field. It's so large. Yeah. And it was like, Beth Leavel, you have a call in the green room. I was like, who in the world? So I was like, go to the green room. Like, Beth, it's Elaine. I just want to tell you that I made a lovely compliment about how I sang Life Upon the Wicked Stage, and I made I was so nervous, I made some snarky remark about, well, they couldn't get anybody else to do it. She went, take the compliment.
I love her.
I have to say,
that
she told.
Oh, yeah.
I met her at the stage door. A friend of mine knew her, said, we'll go and meet her after the show, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's great. And of course, being the great Elaine Stritch, she said, hi, gotta go.
That's so lovely.
Hi.
Okay.
So meanwhile, back at Old Friends,
yes.
I think we are old friends now.
I know.
You see, this is it.
It's how it happens.
We feel like we know one another, all of us. We are old friends already, aren't we? Really?
Well, that has, that's theatre too. That's why
theatre.
people do it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it does have that. Yeah. You didn't do London, but you did LA.
I did LA.
And obviously here. Is there much of a difference between the East Coast, West Coast audiences?
I'll let you know. We've had one. This is my 15th Broadway show. So,
Tony Award winning.
Thank you very much.
We know that. Don't go your name, but go.
Let it go, Billy. Let it go.
I think we're going to experience particularly once the word gets out, it's going to be a rock concert. So I don't think there's going to be any difference, except that the Amundsen in LA, it's set 2,000 people, and this seats 650. And I think this show plays deliciously to both, but I can't wait for the intimacy at the Samuel Friedman Theater with our audiences.
Yeah.
They were quite quiet last night, weren't they?
No, not really.
Well,
I didn't think so. I was one of them.
But they were respectful.
I would go further and say they were overawed. I think there's a lot of people. The guy I was with said he has not experienced an evening in the theatre like that in many years. And he's been a Tory voter for 25 years.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I felt everyone, to me, a success of a show is usually if you have your audience leaning in.
Yeah.
And if you have that experience, well done you.
Well, they were definitely doing that.
Yeah,
and then they were applauding amazingly at the right moments,
yes.
Where I suppose maybe in LA they were a little bit more kind of, woo, yeah, whoa. And that isn't really Sondheim, is it? To be honest.
Very good point.
Because if you do a whoop and a yeah, you've missed the next lyric.
It's true.
Because there's so many.
All night.
Yeah. And one thing we discovered, I think I'm accurate about this in the States, is that when Bonnie goes, once upon a time, and I don't think this happened in London, but Into the Woods is produced so many times here in high schools, middle schools, colleges, all over the place. And so Bonnie would go, once upon a time, it was like, whoa! Yeah. And they were like, what's happening?
I did wonder that myself, actually. I did wonder that bit.
Right?
Yeah, every show in LA, they'd go, woo!
Yep.
Like that.
And here they go, well done. No. We've had one audience, so
yeah,
but it's lovely to be so intimate with it, because I think it is the kind of show that you can see time and time again, because there's so many layers to it. There's so many layers.
Absolutely.
And, every show is different, even though it isn't. But you know what I mean? There are. It's going to be interesting to see how it evolves.
People are waiting for their favorites.
And in terms of you singing I'm Still Here, you have your own set of lyrics, which...
Well, they were written for Shirley MacLaine. But I took them from her.
What was that movie? I forgot.
So she did Postcards from the Edge.
Thank you.
And she sings a number in it. It's this wonderful party that's just so uncomfortable. It's brilliant. Where she then sort of ends up doing her cabaret act as the mother.
Like, why does she sing?
Why does she sing, Mama? No. Okay,
no.
I will. Anyway, so Steve wrote some new lyrics for her to work for that. So I sing them here because they seem more appropriate, because there's the lyrics that were written before are all sort of like BB's Bathsheba and things like that. I don't even know. I don't want to listen. I don't want to think about them because if I do, I think about the long lyrics. And so yeah, I'm the first. I think I'm the first person to sort of sing a whole set of lyrics differently, which is it's nice. That's nice. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Cameron did talk about changing them again, but I did remind him that Steve's no longer here, and so maybe that wouldn't be appropriate.
So, in terms of, from your point of view, Bonnie, in terms of working with an American cast as opposed to a British cast, look away now, Miss Leavel. Please. You've got, there's 5 of the original cast who come over along with Bernadette and Leah, but it's all different people, and I have to, just from a just watching point of view, it was weird kind of to see different people doing the because you got so I got so used to those people, and I used to sneak in because my office was quite near the theatre. I was able to sneak in quite often, watch, and so you've got a sort of fixed thing in your mind, and then you see other people, and it's like, whoa. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. But just from your point of view, is there an adjustment to be made that's more than just a change of cast?
Well, I think there might be, because also what's quite interesting is that when we first did the show in London, because we weren't playing parts, we were playing our version of the songs or whatever, the tracks, the actual sort of roles, if you like, were our names. So it's like, oh, are you doing the Jack track? Are you doing the Claire track? Are you doing the Janie track? And so then when other people are coming in and they're not Janie and Claire and Jack, you sort of go, oh, that's a bit weird. But I think the nature of the show, and the thing that I think was really important, in fact, Janie D, when we were first in it, was one of the first people who said this, the key is in the title. It's about friends. It's old friends. And that, as you say, at the minute that you go into a show anyway, you hope that you become a new family. And so you create new friends. And although that might sort of be, evolve into something a little different, it is like being in a new year of school or whatever, that suddenly you meet new people and it changes your way of doing something a little bit as well. It changes the dynamic slightly and it adjusts, but it adjusts very quickly. The material is so strong that we've got that scaffolding there. We know that we've got that amazing framework. But also, you are able to, I try very often as well. I think it's really awful when you go into a show and you say, oh, but we used to do it like this. But we used to do it like this. There are times when one has to say that because it basically, apart from anything else, it saves time. Because you go, look, if you just hold it in your right hand, it's much easier than if you're not doing it.
Safety too.
It's safety, and you hate to see people struggling when you think, look, we spent hours on this. Let's not do that again. Let's just tell somebody how this technically works.
And we're always like, what do I do here? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Next.
But also, I think the show is just great because I think it was really good that we were in LA. Although it was very different to how we'll be here. We rehearsed here in New York very quickly. I felt, so when we came in, so us Brits, we arrived a week after everyone else had started, and I could tell the minute I walked in, everyone was just bunny in the headlight, eyes popping out of their heads going, I cannot learn all this material. And also, we are... It's a long time since all of us have really learnt harmonies and played maids and things like that. Beautiful harmonies. But we're a bit used to singing the melody and standing in the middle. So it at first we had that adjustment in London too. We were like, what do you mean I have to sing that note? Ooh, I haven't done that for a while, or whatever. So I came in at that first week and thought, oh, I can tell where everybody is, because we were exactly there too.
Sure.
And it was great to sort of come in and go, come on, this is going to be okay, this is how it works, and we just have to get through this bit. Then when we went to LA and put it on its feet and had it in an auditorium, and then with all this production, the amazing production values, but also then the audience came in, it gave it those weeks for us to play, to settle. And ultimately as well, although there are so many different flavours to this show, ultimately it's about people being vulnerable in front of friends, having fun in front of friends, not taking ourselves too seriously, but taking the work seriously. And I think that has made a big difference to coming in here. If we'd come straight here, it would have been a lot longer to get to know each other and to actually survive.
Right.
And also with this theatre, because it's not really a big house, we're all in dressing rooms together and we're really having to muck in. And that, I think, would have been difficult had we not done that
Had
first
that
bit.
first.
And as you say, to see people playing those parts differently, it's actually, it gives it a whole new dynamic.
Oh yeah, it's actually wonderful. It's just I was thinking of the challenge from a performing point of view,
Right.
but also from your point of view, Beth, that coming into something that you know
Right.
had already been created.
Right.
Do you feel that, or are you?
No, I'm so appreciative of the creatives of just letting me, never imitating what anyone did in London, but never imitating what Elaine did or what Patty did or what it's like. You do your thing.
Yeah, and you
And
definitely do, and you
I
do
do my own
brilliantly.
thing.
It's brilliant.
oh, thanks.
So
I
brilliant.
watch it every
But
night.
and I'm really grateful for that. And as I'm, yes. So thank you.
In terms of the moment where the screen comes in and the Sondheim, the pictures,
the montage.
the montage was the word I was looking for.
Thank you. You're welcome. That was
Miss
$20.
Level, thank you.
you.
And let it go, you said.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering how that feels in terms of you're standing there watching, and it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real person, because what comes across is genuine in terms of, wow, this is this guy who was such a biggest Broadway legend, and there is his whole life just being flashed in front of us.
It feels like church.
Yes,
Sometimes it feels like church. And I'm standing.
It's a difficult balance, isn't it?
I'm next to Bernadette, and a couple of times when we were seeing it for the first time, for me the first time, but for her revisiting it again, she got emotional. It's like, oh, this is so personal. It's
But
like
she's
kind of a
brilliant,
privilege.
because she said to me as well, when we were, because we do giggle as well sometimes, because some
right.
of the photographs are quite fun. And if you look at them for a long time, you see things that aren't there.
yes,
You see things
Dissecting.
that aren't there, and you see, stuff that you probably shouldn't see. And then also she said to me once, she said, I looked at that picture where he's lying down and he's got his grumpy face. And I remember that grumpy face. I didn't like it. I could just imagine him in her house going, don't do that, don't do that. And she would go, oh, but I want, you just look at it and you see new stories, even if you're making them up yourself, because you're looking at them thinking, I wonder what was really going on that moment that snapshot was taken.
I know, and I hear the audience digesting it too.
Yes, I think there is a bit of that.
Celebrating it and just.
It's unusual for a show to have that sort of
I know.
level of personality. When you mentioned it's like being in church, there was a sort of, you're sort of not sure quite how you should be reacting almost.
And I don't think there's a right or wrong way.
And right, yeah, well,
You know,
that's...
whatever you're feeling. Like,
No,
I didn't know him. She did. People did, and
Yeah.
I still have. Stephen Sondheim is a legend and changed my life with his gifts.
Yes.
And to watch him and celebrate him in this show is, again, a privilege.
Well, I think what is so extraordinary is that every day you find something new, but also the fact that he had that connection, particularly I think with mature women, to be able to find that where you can sometimes play something bitter, you can play it joyous, you can play it so many different ways, and it still is so fresh. And quite often things date. Things, they're written for a period, and you think, well, people don't act like that now. But the thing that he did, that he touched so much, was emotions. And somebody said to me once, anyone can tell you something is right or wrong, but no one can tell you how to feel and how you feel. And so that's so when we're standing there and we're looking at that montage and we're hearing all those different things and we're singing alive, in our show, it's to look out at that audience and to see each and every one of those members of the audience feeling something different. And there isn't a single person who's in that audience who isn't feeling something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because even if you didn't know him, and certainly I met him a couple of times, but I couldn't say I knew him.
Right.
But you're seeing his whole life.
I know.
And it's just extraordinary. And I would say to anyone that hasn't thought about coming, you should come.
You better get your
because
tickets.
it really is quite something.
Thank you.
And it's great to see you
Thank
and
you.
meet you.
What a great catch up with Beth and Bonnie. And as if that wasn't enough, the man himself, hey, Mr. Producer, Cameron Mackintosh.
So, Sir Cameron, you've brought the show to Broadway via LA.
What would you say are the differences between the London production and American production, or are there not really any?
Well, the main difference are the people. The material does get shaped by the performers. I mean, not what it is, but actually what they bring to it. And I think we're already aware, even more so in New York than in LA, that here, you know, the possession of Stephen Sondheim and the knowledge of Stephen Sondheim is the highest in the world. This is where he was born, it's where he thrived, where he's been, loved and revered by everyone. And the rest of the world followed. So, you know, their knowledge of the show and the words of the show are at their height in New York. So, you know, I think what I'm enjoying is that the sense of, it is quite different to what they might have expected and what they've seen. And I think our job is to take them round a different corner and still and show them another element of what they know so well, and which they can enjoy. And I think
that's part of the magic of the show, is that you absolutely get that. I know that's where you've gone with it. But
that's what we do. But you can't. You know, the thing is, we've got to be artful in doing that. You can't. You know, it's not. It comes from us loving the material as much as everyone else does here, and it's like knowing an old friend and meeting an old friend in a wonderful new outfit. So it's been fantastic, and therefore, of course, we've only had one preview, but the reaction at the end has been identical to we had in London and LA. But I think definitely we can tell, and the artists are telling, that we're finding their appreciation to bits of the material in the show is different, and we're getting laughs where we didn't get the laughs, and we're getting observation when people just were embracing something. They just get, this is going to be this is different from what I know, because they do know the original so well.
Yes.
And unlike any other city in the world, a lot of Stephen's material, from which we've drawn the show, have been seen in their entirety here in the last 2 or 3 years. You know, there's been a lot of shows. Into the Woods been on, Sweeney Todd's been on, Merrily Merrily's been on, and been huge successes. You know, so some of that material they have seen very recently, I suppose. In other places they haven't. Yeah.
And the thing is that bit in the show where the screen comes down and you see his life unfold, when I was speaking to Beth Leavel earlier, she was saying it's almost kind of like church. There's almost a church-like experience there for people. It's so, you know, it's such a sort of personal and poignant moment, and that will be heightened here in a way that it wasn't. I don't think it was so much in London.
I think, it was an emotional moment. It has been everywhere, but here, so many of the audience did know him personally.
Yes,
and did see him because this was his hometown. You know, he was a New Yorker, and therefore they would have, if they didn't know him personally, they'd been to places where he regularly would appear, and so they do feel like I know that person in a way, you know, and there's a familiarity that can't be repeated anywhere else in the world, because he is from one of the great geniuses that have come out of New York City. And
you are, in terms of this production, you are doing it in collaboration with Manhattan Theatre Club and Darryl Roth.
Yes.
Just for the listeners, why is that?
Reason Darryl, I've known a long time. I was involved with her in her wonderful production of Kinky Boots, which I was contributed to. But doing the show over here, finding a way of doing the show economically, where shows are so expensive in New York. I was thrilled when Lynn Meadow, who runs Manhattan Theatre Club, said, look, she asked me what I was doing with the show, and I said, I'm looking for a way of bringing the show to New York in a sensible economic way. And she and I had done putting it together with Julie Andrews here at Manhattan Theatre Club God knows, 20 years ago. Or maybe it's 25, I can't remember now. And we had a wonderful time here, and I loved working with her. And then I later brought the show back to New York with Carol Burnett, where it had a nice run in New York. So this was the right way. Steve happened to be with MTC, was also on the board originally. And Bernadette's been here. So there were a lot of reasons why to do it. But, I wanted an intimate theatre for it, like we had in London, the Gielgud. It's just slightly smaller than the Gielgud. I think it would be making a mistake to presuppose that the show is going to be a big hit here, though all the indications are that it might
you just
well
extended, so hopefully.
And we just extended it, and we may be able to extend a little further. I don't know. We've got a limited time with the cast, of course. Yeah. But this seems the right way to bring the show here. Most of Steve's great shows have always started in the non-for-profit theatre, and here we are, and this is a wonderful compilation, some of his greatest work, which I have loved put together.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sir Cameron Mackintosh, producer of Old Friends in New York. And hopefully we'll be hearing a bit more from him with his other Les hat on about the 40th anniversary later in the year. But for now, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our insider moment on Old Friends in New York. If you happen to be there, I thoroughly recommend it. It's a fantastic show.